everybody. Welcome to our next episode of the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference Facebook Live series. My name is Brianna Smith, and I am the executive director of the conference. I will be your host today. I'm so excited for another fantastic episode where we get to sit down with another great MDMC 20 speaker, and we get to talk about some of the hot topics in digital marketing right now and also get some sneak peeks into what you can expect at MDMC 20 here in St. Louis. Today, I'm really excited to sit down with Steve Sherfy. Steve is the senior paid search strategist at True Media Services here in St. Louis. He has over 15 years of experience in the digital marketing space, including an emphasis in paid search and local search. Thriving on teaching and sharing insights, Steve helps businesses and clients develop and implement data-driven and goal-oriented strategies. And we are so excited for him to be joining MDMC for the first time. So welcome, Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. With that intro, I felt I should have been like running onto a stage.
Ta-da! Yes. Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and a little bit more about True Media Services?
Okay, well, True Media, we're kind of a full-service media agency that we focus a lot on traditional media, but also digital media. So we help clients in pretty much every vertical across every space to really reach their customers at the right time at that moment of decision. So it's a really great company. It does a lot of good stuff.
Awesome. Fantastic. And we just realized we're actually not that far apart. So we're probably about 15 minutes apart right now, where we're at, but we're both here in St. Louis. We'd love to find out where you guys are tuning in from. I know we have people attend MDMC from all over the country, so feel free to share that in the chats and let us know. See if you're anywhere warmer than it is right here right now. I would be very jealous. I'm ready for April for MDMC for a little bit more warmth, please.
Warmth and Cardinals.
Yes, definitely. So you're only joining us for the first time here. Hey, Cody, joining from St. Louis as well. Yes, snow is on the horizon, unfortunately. But if you're joining us for the first time here for our Facebook Live episode, we love to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, just throw them in the comments, and Steve and I will answer them, whether they're about SEO or MDMC or both. And then if you are sorry, I got comments coming in. So we have people, Andy joining us from Maryland Heights, Chelsea also joining us from St. Louis. Hey, Chelsea, she always helps the conference out. And Michelle also, she's from True Media Minneapolis in the house.
Hey.
Go Steve. Yes, awesome. Love the support. Awesome. And if you're joining us after the fact, after we're live, throw your comments in or your questions in the comments below, and we will also answer them. And welcome Amy from Paducah, Kentucky, originally from Baldwin, Missouri. So originally from St. Louis. Love it. All right, awesome. So we're going to dive into some questions, but please still let us know where you're joining in from, and always throw your questions in the comments. But I'm going to start off with one, which is, Steve, why is local SEO so important?
Well, for any business that has, a physical location, it's no longer a matter of should I do this? Because a little bit ago, word of mouth was always the way that people would communicate about businesses. They would, stand across the picket fence and talk about their experience in the local business, be it the grocer or the, car repair shop, whatever it might be. These days, it's still that same kind of thing. There's still a picket fence, except it's digital and it's global.
Mm-hmm.
So people are having those conversations. And these days, especially with mobile devices, which is where most searches happen, the first interaction that people have with any business is with their online local information. And be that, the address when they're looking up something on their Google Maps, or a review that they're finding, on Yelp or on Google, on any of the other sites. That's that kind of first interaction. And you really have to have ownership of that information, along with having that information out across that local ecosystem, so that people can not only find you, but that you're ranking well in those searches that you should be showing up for.
Awesome. So yes, it is critical. This isn't something you guys can ignore
Yeah.
when it comes to your local business, especially just the amount of competition out there these days.
Oh yeah.
Um, but sometimes, especially if they haven't done SEO before or they've never done like specifically like local SEO, it might seem a little overwhelming. So, what are the basics of local SEO?
Well, there's the foundation we refer to as the NAP, your name, address, phone number. That's kind of like the entry into the local space that everybody should be doing. If you don't have your information out there, then you're really behind the game. Because not only that, with people doing it actively, Google goes around and kind of backfills information that it might find other places. So, like, let's say you never put your information out there, but it wound up on some small newspaper site from an article. Google's kind of pulling that information in, and it might not even be correct. And so that's that beginning of the game, is just getting your physical information right, and your website and your phone number, so that when people try to contact you, it's the information you want them to see. Because the funny thing about us silly humans is that when somebody pulls up that information on Google, and if it's wrong and they get the wrong phone number, they're not going to blame Google, they're blaming the business.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why it's like incredibly essential at least to have that foundation out there. But then on top of that, just like any other kind of SEO, there's some extra things you can do. Because local is driven by its own separate algorithm,
Mm,
completely apart from paid search, completely apart from your traditional organic
yeah.
search. So you want to find sources, and that's one of the things I'll discuss, that have really high local value. So, for instance, let's say that you're a sporting goods store. Sure, it's great if you have a mention in the Post Dispatch. That's a lot more valuable than getting a mention in, say, Time Magazine, for example.
Yes.
But it's even more valuable if you have a Little League team that you're sponsoring and you're
Mm.
getting a backlink in from them. Or other local organizations like that that have really high local value, because that's one of the things that Google looks for, is those kinds of signals that are really local signals and high value local signals.
Oh, I love that because yeah, I think people sometimes like, oh, I need the big name. I need that big name to link back to me.
Yeah,
And that really it depends. Are you a local business? What is your strategy? You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
it's not there's not really a one fits all SEO strategy. It really depends on so much.
And that's one of the reasons I love the local space, is because it truly is the equalizer
Hmm.
when it comes to any kind of business. So, your small mom and pop sporting goods store has just as much of a chance, if not a better chance, of ranking higher than, say, the local branch at Sports Authority or
Hmm.
any other national chain. So local really is the equalizing space that doesn't really exist in any other digital media.
Um, I guess a question just for me too is just do you feel like Google is really trying to support local businesses with both their SEO algorithm and like their different tools that they offer?
They really do, as far as the organic part of it goes, because, like I said, that there's only so much in that space, but also they're coming up with a lot of local products. They recently, about a year and a half ago, launched like locally endorsed businesses. Now
Oh.
that's primarily for your service businesses, like your handymans or your HVAC companies and things like that. I mean, there's a completely separate part of the search results that come from that, and there's a process people have to go through.
Mm.
But Google will actually, once that process is done, endorse that local business. And that's
Oh,
something that's not available for any kind of national chain. You really have to be a local business for doing that.
that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
to hear that they're doing that. And so how do Google local campaigns factor into local search?
Yeah, that's something that people in the local space, we've been anticipating for a long time,
Okay.
because we all knew that the day would come that Google was going to monetize the local space.
Hmm.
It really used to be the one thing left in Google, that there was no paid opportunity to get into it. And when I would talk local SEO with people, that was an emphasizing point, is, hey, Google Maps, this is all organic. This is all stuff you can do
Yeah.
for free. And that's still the case, but now Google is monetizing that local space with placing ads
Okay.
on Google Maps and other places. However, it really goes beyond like the Google Maps app or the Google local search results on your computer. They are putting local ads everywhere they possibly can.
Oh,
It's
wow.
across the entire Google set, really, from display to YouTube. we're running Google local campaigns for a couple of our clients, and it's kind of amazing the results that it's getting. There's one local retailer that we're doing this for, and in any given month, the impressions from the Google local campaign are 10 times the impression from every other campaign combined.
Wow, that's huge.
And it's serving on all sorts of devices, even on smart TVs. It's really crazy the amount of impressions you can get. And when Google first launched this, they had a minimum spend of, I believe, was around $10,000 a month. So only the big people playing
Yeah,
that.
that's a lot for a really like a true small local business.
Yeah, but the good news is, and I share this to my detriment because I don't want everybody to jump into this bandwagon. But a few months ago, Google actually dropped that minimum, but they did it very quietly. They didn't really tell anybody.
Sneaky. Yeah.
That's why we can get more clients into this and into that space and get, if nothing else, you're going to get a massive amount of impressions. So it's great for brand awareness.
That's awesome. So that's definitely something it sounds like people should be taking advantage of now that it's more accessible than, $10,000 spend. That's a lot for, those small mom and pop businesses sometimes.
Yeah, now granted, and how much you show up is going to be dependent on your spend, like
Of course.
anything
Yeah.
else.
But at least
It's a good place to get in.
you can get in the game now before you couldn't even get in the game beforehand.
And so if you have that running, then that just, can increase the amount of store visit conversions you can get, which again is something we'll talk on in the session, is how that translates into, measurable ROI for your clients or for your business if you're managing it yourself.
That's so exciting and very interesting, especially if you are owning a local business. This sounds like something you need to be getting to this session.
Oh, for sure.
Looks like we got people from all over joining as well. So we already have Amy from Kentucky, Kim from Texas, Beth from Minneapolis, all over the place. Thanks for joining us. Before we dive into some more questions from Steve about his session and MDMC 20, let's get a sneak peek at what you can expect from the 2020 Midwest Digital Marketing Conference by taking a look at some of the highlights from last year. All right.
Ed Reggie here with the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference 2019. Tell me in your own words, why did you come here to St. Louis, Missouri at this conference?
I like this one because it's a little more intimate for me, right? There's tons of content here. There's a lot of folks that are here, but even just last night, I was able to connect with brands that I know of that are here, and I would have never sort of expected them to be here.
I'm interested in marketing and communications just because I study political communications, so I've studied how candidates use advertising in their election campaigns, and of course now they're using social media.
I think in general, conferences are about learning new things. It's a place outside of the classroom where you can actually see what people are doing, how it works. So for one of the biggest marketing things in the country in St. Louis, it was perfect.
My favorite part about this conference is that people are here to learn. They're super approachable. They have wonderful conversations. I just think it's a conference where you can come in and soak up so much in 48 hours.
We've enjoyed very much being here. It's a vibrant conference, well attended, great questions. Honored to be here.
It's been really wonderful to be able to hear not only the different geographical places people have come from, but the huge brands that are traveling to be able to attend these sessions and these events. And a lot of these brands have attended year after year, so they're really seeing great value to do that.
It's the fact that they truly care about their local community and that they can make me feel inspired to come be part of it all the way from Florida. There's something happening that's special with that.
I think it's just important for us to support initiatives that are here. I think typically with things like this and with all of the amazing brands and companies, we will have to usually hop on a plane to get to that.
We're trying to create a community here, and a lot of people have told me, wow, this is almost like a community. I feel like I meet a lot of great people, new friends. We're all working hard to make this happen kind of for St. Louis and to create that atmosphere.
All right, awesome. So that was a little sneak peek at what last year's was like if you have not attended MDMC before. And Tickets are on sale. They're $189 through the end of the month, and that gets you access to all the breakout sessions, including Steve's, and the keynotes and the exhibitor hall and the parties and all that. Because whether you're a local business or a big business, you deserve to have access to this amazing content. So make sure to get your ticket. They are going like crazy. But let's get a little bit more into what you can expect to learn during Steve's session at the conference. So, Steve, you have it's all local now, driving increased offline revenue with online local. So, can you kind of tell people a little bit more about what they can expect? Because there's definitely a lot of sessions at the conference, almost 90. So, kind of
Oh, yeah.
trying to figure out which one they should attend and why.
Well, the first thing we're going to do is talk about the basics and the importance of getting that information out there and syndicated, and the best ways to go about doing that. All depending on your business size. We'll touch on how small businesses can do that themselves, or the best avenues for medium to larger businesses to take in order to get that syndication out there and make sure that local information is where it needs to be. Then we'll talk about, some of the tips and tricks of things you can do to, increase your ranking, and some of the things that touched on earlier with like the local citations. Also, some valuable insights that are out there. We'll touch on probably David Mim and that local resource guide that he puts out every year. He's pretty much the grand poobah of the local space. And then again, touch on the paid efforts. So there's a lot of people that aren't even aware that, say, for example, Google is measuring store visits, and you can actually have that as an actionable metric. And not only that, but a strategic metric that you can utilize in, paid search advertising and things of that nature. And also, how to go about, reporting, showing an ROI and a return on, the investment that you're making, even if you're, doing a paid program for local SEO, and, how you can show that to your higher ups or your bosses or managers and show that, hey, this spend we're doing, it's actually paying us back, in a huge quantity.
Awesome. Well, I definitely think this would apply a lot to many of our attendees. We have a lot of small businesses that attend and those that are helping small businesses. Who do you think would get the most out of this session? Like I said, obviously there's a lot of sessions, so you got to pick the right, for your schedule. If you do get General Plus or VIP, you get the audio either way, but there's always that experience of attending in person and being able to ask you questions at the end and things like that. So just curious if you could help some of our attendees just determine if this is the right session for them.
Okay. I'd say, anyone that definitely, if you're a small business owner and you're trying to wear all the hats that you can, from the finance hat to the investment hat to the marketing hat, this is definitely the session for you, because this is going to show you in a really quick and easy way how you can manage this information and get this out there and, kind of be a do-it-yourselfer. Now, also anyone who's a marketing manager for a local business or, a medium to mid chain, this is going to give you some really valuable information to, own your local information, but also, quick and easy tools and ways that you can respond to the reviews that are out there and how best to respond to the reviews that are out there. That's one of the things that can be really tricky at times, is knowing, who to respond to, when to respond, and how to respond. Because as we all know, there can be some people out there that can be maybe not leave the most kindly worded reviews, and learning how to manage those people and what they're saying, while all the while, looking good online and making sure that other people that are going to come across those reviews and responses are going to come away with a positive note about your business. Then anyone that's also engaged in digital advertising and trying to figure out ways and metrics to measure how the impact is of your local searches and your website traffic or your local listing traffic into your business. There are ways and data out there to where you can show, okay, I've had this many people come in as a result of what I'm doing with these programs, and easy ways to measure that, and what tools to use for getting that type of information. So essentially, anyone that is trying to connect the dots between online activity and offline activity, you'll benefit from this session, that's for sure.
Awesome. I love that you're covering how to handle reviews. That's a question I always get a lot from people is not just handling negative reviews, but positive reviews. How, do you always respond? Things like that. And especially for a local business or your own business, it can be very emotional when you get a negative review. And because it's your baby, your business is your baby, and knowing how to properly respond and not get too, emotional in your response, things like that. But also using it as a PR opportunity. I mean, we look at negative reviews as much as we look at positive reviews because we want to see how businesses, react, because I feel like consumers are a bit more, well, most consumers maybe are a bit more understanding in the fact that these are local businesses and these are people behind them. But it's how they respond when something might go wrong or, isn't perfect.
And most people don't know that the amount that you respond or the percentage of reviews to responses, it's actually one of the ranking factors that Google uses when they're determining, how to list your local listing. So
really, even for positive reviews?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I learned something new. Several things today. Look at that.
It's
Well, that's
basically the
great.
Google bot. You're showing Google, hey, I'm real. I'm actually out here paying attention.
Yeah, and I care. I care about my customers.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm not just this person way out in the distance. Awesome. So I just have a couple more questions for Steve. So if you have any questions for him, make sure to throw them in the comments, whether it's about MDMC and his session there or local SEO or paid search. I'm sure he would love to answer them. But what I'm curious is, I know this is your first time speaking at MDMC, and when you're not in your session, what sessions are you excited to be attending as well?
Actually, I'm really looking forward to the keynote from Carlos Gill, because I like his topic and the approach that he's taken. I've actually kind of perused that book, and he's got some really interesting takes. And also the marketing in the age of privacy. That's Marissa Later's session, because that's one of the really tricky things these days. Is privacy is a huge thing, and one of our biggest challenges as marketers is the mobile devices. I mean, that changed the game for everyone forever. And that's essentially, people are giving us this view into this extension of their life that they always have with them. But we really have to tread a fine line on, annoying them and the information that they actually want and need, and writing that line of privacy. And then with all the things that have happened over the last few years with Google and, data breaches everywhere, and, everyone's kind of incredibly nervous when it comes to privacy. And especially when you're dealing with a mid or larger size company that has at least one lawyer, then that makes it even more difficult. Or in those industries that are highly regulated, like banking or pharma, that makes it even more difficult. So, getting some additional insights and information on that will be really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Both an exciting keynote too. We're very excited to have Carlos back. He used to be here in St. Louis, so I'm excited to see him again. Known him for a while, and privacy. Any of our privacy sessions, it's a big thing. It can be overwhelming. No matter what size business you are, to try to start tackling that. All right. Awesome. Well, I don't see any additional questions, but I have no doubt that you guys will have some questions about SEO. So either throw them in the comments and we can get back to you in a later date, or even better, attend Steve's session at MDMC.
I like that path. That's a great idea.
I mean, there you go. That's exactly what you should do. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for joining us. Can't believe we're only about 15 minutes apart, but doing a little Facebook Live. But I can't wait to see you at the conference. And if you haven't bought your tickets are only $189 until the end of the month. But MDMC will be April 8th through 10th here in St. Louis, and hopefully it'll be warmer. Fingers crossed. But we can't wait to see y'all there. And don't forget to join us next week, next Tuesday, at same time, 2 p.m. Central, for another Facebook Live where I sit down with yet another awesome MDMC 20 speaker. So thank you again, Steve.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I'm going to leave you guys with a little one more sneak peek at what you can expect from MDMC 20.